This video was sponsored by Keeps. Hashtag goals, commonly associated with a new whip, a strong relationship, or of course, a dope crib. And while each and every one of these things was on my list and should probably be on yours, after talking to NFL Hall of Fame nominee and one of the scariest linebackers of his era, Takeo Spikes, without lecturing me, dude really made me feel like I was aiming too damn small. Congrats on being nominated for the NFL Hall of Fame.
Oh, man, appreciate you, bro. Thank you.
How does that feel? Like, have you taken time to kind of sit back and reflect on that, or you wait to get a little bit closer, or like, what is that like? You know what I mean?
Oh, listen, this is something that I always wanted since I was a legit, bro. And it's crazy because my father brought home a video one year. I was 11 years old, and this video talked about setting goals, being able to compartmentalize things that you go through and find an outlet to be able to get away from everything. So football was my outlet. Yeah. And from that video, man, it just really made me fast forward think. And I wrote down my goals, and then on my goal sheet, I put, at 11 years old, I wanted to go to the Hall of Fame.
Dang, at 11?
And to this day, like, so when you talk about this and when I talk about it, like, for me, it's always been part of the plan. Long before I even knew I could get $1 from playing the game, I wanted to be great. I wanted that mustard-looking coat, the gold jacket. Like, I saw all of that. So, yeah, man. So when you tell me congratulations, like, I appreciate that. I receive all of that because I put in a lot of hard work, long hours, beat a lot of people up. I got beat up a few times, but it was all worth it.
All right, let's do a real quick test. I'm gonna go ahead and assume every single person watching this video at one point or another dreamed about being in the NFL. Now, did you dream about the glory of being an NFL player? The millions of dollars, the commercials, or just doing what you love for a living? Maybe winning a Super Bowl? Or did you dream about being in the Hall of Fame? I'm gonna go ahead and be real. I dreamed about every single one of these things except being in the Hall of Fame. It actually never crossed my mind, which in hindsight kind of means I never dreamed of being great. And it made me think, what other areas of my life have I not shot for the absolute top of? Things are going pretty good, but am I aiming high enough? I think if you're 100% happy and 100% content with where you are, that's great and you good money. But if you feel like there's another area you could potentially reach in one area of your life or another, maybe it's time to adjust your thinking. Takeo wanted to be at the top of the top when he was only age 11. But after he put in 15 years of blood, sweat, and tears, there was nothing more he can do to work toward his goal of being in the Hall of Fame other than just wait. So in the meantime, you know what he did, right? Created new goals.
Ain't nothing changed. Still to this day now, you know, I pick a few years and I take those years and I say, I'm gonna dedicate the next 3 to 5 years on this goal sheet. And so I do that now. I think I was just blessed with foresight. I was blessed with great parents. Yeah. I was blessed with, you know, wisdom, you know, passed down from my parents. So, man, I truly believe, like, and I'll tell anybody, you know, similar to your story, you talked about, let me look at who is good and who is good doing it. And then let me see how I can better myself. I had that same approach. So when I looked at the game at a young age and fell in love with the game, you know, what really resonated with me was like, yeah, I know they get paid, but I wasn't concerned with that. I wanted to play at the highest level and to be known as one of the greatest of all time, GOAT status. And so, you know, so even when I see it to this day, Hall of Fame nominee, knowing that voting is coming up soon, like I'm so looking forward to it, bro.
That's different, man. That's different. One of my best friends for the last 14 years is a linebacker. So coming into this conversation with Spikes, I kind of already felt like I knew how these cats think when it comes to just general physical aggressiveness on a football field. So I asked him why he chose the linebacker position, and the answer was short and sweet. Or maybe short and whatever the opposite of sweet is.
I can hit somebody and not get in trouble for it? Shit.
Yeah.
I'm defense all day. And so that's the reason why I decided to play on the defense side of the football, man, because it gave me an opportunity to hit somebody and not get in trouble for it.
No further questions.
Anybody that's familiar with Spikes, man, you already know dude was known for these ridiculous trap and neck muscles. It looked like the man was wearing extra pads under his damn skin, alright? Believe it or not, this isn't a trait dude was just born with. It was something he built up with hard work. And the whole reason he was doing it was to make his body more durable. And it's crazy that he was actually focusing in on longevity even in high school. Now, was that around a time where you were trying to make sure you was getting better, not worse? Is that around the time you started focusing on like your traps and like your neck muscles, man? People
ask me all the time, like, hey man, how you get your neck to look like that? How you get your trap?
Real
it's
tough.
Now, I'm regular. I'm almost regular. I can't go in and buy nothing off the rack, but
I said, man, you look, you got your pads on, man.
Yeah, man. Like I'm ready to strike at all times, Doc. I had a coach that told me, he was like, you will never get concussions if you make sure you have a strong neck.
Yeah.
So I was like, all right, here I go again, gullible. I'm trying to get everything I can. Yeah. And so that's what I did every day after practice, man. I used to do an upright row trap workout, and I also used to put a 45-pound plate and do the neck exercises machine. So like before I knew it, I never knew my neck had grown until when I got to college, and it was mandatory you had to wear a shirt and tie. I went to the store, picked up a shirt, and I was like, sir, you got any shirts bigger? And he was like, sir, we don't have anything bigger than an 18. So then I had to go ahead and get an extender clip. And when I got the extender clip, that damn near barely could work. And I knew from that point, Flem, I was like, look, bro, I gotta make it to the league. Because I felt like I was killing myself, man, when I was trying to just put on a tie.
Popular saying in hip-hop culture is levels to this. Let's explore that real quick in football terms.
The precision of going from high school to college to the pros, or even pros to being a pro bowler to being all pro. It's how precise that person does it each and every time. And that's what really separates you.
Got you. I feel the ability to transition in and out of phases of life is hella important, but those transitions become difficult when unexpected issues arise. In this segment, Takeo talks about his professional career not getting off to the start he expected. Then, just as things were starting to turn, personal tragedy struck. In 1998, you get drafted by my squad, Cincinnati Bengals. What was it like going from a kid from Georgia, you know what I'm saying? You went to school in Alabama, now you're going to Cincinnati. Like, what was this transition like?
Hey, it was manhood.
Yeah.
I felt like it was truly manhood. First time really being out on my own. And I was excited, man. You know, when I got to the city of Cincinnati, I was like, all right, what people do, what Cincinnatians do throughout the week. You know, what are the expectations? How do they look at the team? How do they look at the team now? So it was a cool deal. Bruce Coslett, he was there the first year, head coach. Then, I mean, we sucked. It was bad, as you already know.
Yeah.
Then I remember walking in my second year. I think we lost like the first 2 games, and we're waiting on the team meeting to start. Bruce Coslett never shows up. Dick LeBeau walks into the room and say, hey, guys, I'm the captain now. Well, he didn't say that, but he was really like...
He came with that energy,
like, hey, Bruce is not going to come back, so I'm going to be the head coach in the interim time. And I was like, damn, like, this shit really happening? He didn't even tell us that he was going to quit.
Damn.
You know what I mean? So I was like, wow, this is the NFL.
Welcome to Cincinnati.
You know that old saying, things are darkest before dawn? I've experienced this time and time again in my life. And talking with Takeo, it seems he has some similar life experiences. I say that to say this: if you're struggling right now and things seem hella dark, if you can manage to push through the darkness, set your goals and then work towards them brick by brick, you're pretty much guaranteed to break through at some point. In 2001, your 4th year in the league, we just talked about a team not having a whole bunch of success, but you having a pretty good go at it individually. Like, to that point, I think it's your 4th year, you've yet to have a season with less than 100 total tackles. You know what I'm saying? So, and then you're also coming off your highest tackle total of your career.
Yep.
But going to that 01 season, you end up losing your dad, right? Like, how did that affect you going forward? Like, kind of losing that source that has always been there for you. Like, going forward, did you feel like you was at a point where you was ready for it to take over that role, or did you feel like it was still a little bit too soon and you wasn't quite ready?
Oh, nah, man, I wasn't ready for that. I wasn't ready.
Yeah.
And I never seen my father even have a common cold.
Damn.
Like, he was the epitome of tough. He was the epitome of grind. You know, when I found out, he was diagnosed in February and he ended up dying in October. So it hurt me because that was the first game that I ever missed. At that point, I never missed a football game ever. And so, you know, it hurt me because he was always there. He was the first person that introduced me to the game. Everything that I did, it was like, I always wanted to make him proud, you know, and I know he liked to be around his homeboys. So what was important for me, I was like, all right, he get around his boys. I want his boys to be like, damn, Jimmy, how can I make me a little Keo like that? You know what I mean? So,
yeah,
you know, it was a lot of it was for him.
Yeah. For sure, man. For sure, man. Life as a football player can be tough given the fact that there's so much you don't control. Takeo was drafted by a bad team, and despite having a Pro Bowl caliber season in 3 of his first 4 years in the league, dude never made it. I think a lot of us have the tendency to check out at this point. We complain and we dwell on what we've done in the past that went unnoticed or was underappreciated. And we kind of get stuck in that victim mindset. But that's a dangerous place to be, because when the opportunity does present itself and they come and go in the snap of a finger, you're stuck in that victim mindset and you ain't ready to take advantage of it. All because you wasn't preparing yourself during them dark days to be ready when the time came. That's when you miss out and end up holding them lifelong L's instead of just the temporary ones. Takeo ain't tripped. He got everything he could from his time in Cincinnati. And when another opportunity presented itself, dude was ready.
I've always played at a high level when I was in Cincinnati.
Right.
But when you're not winning, nobody knows. You don't even get the primetime games. So when I got to Buffalo, the expectation was already set. And that came with the payout of money. And so when you get the title, like, hey, this guy's making X amount of million per year, people are going to look and see, let me see if he's really worth what they're paying. And so I gave him every bit of what I had. Then some, getting ready to go back and re-up. The more I think about it. But yeah, man, I was a victim. A lot of my career, I was a victim of just not playing in big market cities.
Yeah.
To where everybody actually knew, like, okay, he's legit.
In 15 years, you got over 1,400 tackles, just under 30 sacks, 20 picks, multiple Pro Bowls, All-Pro, balling. With all that said, we know stats, small part of what's actually going on out there on the field. They tell a story, but they don't tell the full story. In your opinion, what was your best season or just your favorite season as a pro?
Oh, dang, that's a good one. That's a good one. 3rd year in Buffalo. Actually, no, I take that back, the 1st year. Because we just talked about how, you know, I was a victim of not playing on TV. It took me 10 years to play on Monday Night Football.
Whoa.
That's a fun fact for you.
That's crazy.
You know what I mean? And so when everybody got there, and that was a national televised 1 o'clock game on everybody's set, we played the Patriots. We ended up beating them 31-0.
Ooh.
I knocked Troy Brown out coming across the middle.
Yeah.
I separated him away from the ball. Ended up having 2 picks.
Damn.
And had like 12 tackles.
Went crazy.
So, you know what I mean? So like that was like, okay, that's an investment that we are looking forward to have and seeing week in and week out.
Yeah.
So it was official. Everybody knew from that point, like, oh damn, he really is good. You know, people who already knew, they were like, he's been doing that. Or people who didn't know, they were like, damn, now I know.
In one-on-one conversations, I like to ask people this. What are you most excited about every day when you wake up? If they can't answer, I tell them, yo, find you something to be excited about, or this life is gonna feel like one big chore. If they don't end the conversation right there because they think I'm on some weird hippie stuff, which I can completely understand them feeling that way.
What? Bro, what are you talking about, man?
But if we keep talking, I usually find that they do have something that they're passionate about, but for whatever reason, they've never gone head first into that thing. Maybe they know their friends and family will laugh and judge them for trying something new, or maybe they're just too damn lazy to put in the work. I've broken some of these barriers in my own life, with this channel being one of them, but I still struggle with this till this day. So I asked Takeo about his other passion aside from football. It happens to be photography. Now, these are not the traps of a standard photographer, but when he started to talk about how he got into photography and how his teammates reacted when they found out, things got pretty damn interesting.
You know, people ask me how did I get into the photography game? I never knew. To be completely honest, my first love was video and just cutting up and making videos. But with the photography, I remember my mother, she was great at capturing the moment, but the moment was always blurry. And so I was like, Mom, man, let me show you how. Give me this camera. So I would get the camera, take a picture. See, this is how you take a camera. You take one. I take one, she take one.
Yeah.
And so as we kept doing that, little did I know I was becoming hooked. Okay. So by the time I got to the league, I used to carry a camera with me all the time. We went to London, played in an international game over there. And, you know, I realized, I was like, you know what, man, this might be, it was my 14th year. And I was like, 13th year, I was like, man, you might as well take a camera because you never do know if you're coming back. So when I got on the bus, I'm taking shots of guys. No, when I first got on the bus, everybody clowning me though.
That's what they're like, ask you, yeah.
Spikes? What are you doing? You got a camera? You too big to be having a camera. You know what I mean? So they broke it. And so I'm like, all right. So I just started taking shots of the monuments. I started taking shots of having little photo shoots with guys on the team. And then when I got back on the plane, people were like, damn, dog, you took that? Oh, let me see that. Send me that one. Send me that one. Right. I knew, like, all right, I'm not a professional yet, but I got skills. So I went in and I submerged myself into it, man. And that's the reason why now we got BTM Media, baby. It was taking an image of something that we take for granted, but when you look back at it, it brought back pleasant memories, and somewhat it was like art. You know, it was well thought out. A lot of the images that I took, because I had a game plan going into London that I want to make sure I get a shot of everything. And then that opened up the mind because of the exposure piece, what I talked about earlier. Captured some images of some of the guys in the locker room. Before now, they let cameras in all the time. Yeah. You know, back then they didn't. So I actually had my own joint. So wish I would have did more of it, but that's the reason why. That's what got me hooked when I was on the plane. And guys really saw the images that I took, and then they were like, yo, man, let me get a copy. Let me do this. Let me do that. They were the same dudes on the plane when I got on it who was saying, man, you too big to be having a camera. What's going on?
On the surface, this YouTube channel was about football. We went from football gaming to talking about real life football players. But if you look just beneath the surface, something that's been prevalent since the inception of FlemLo Raps has been storytelling. From creating dynamic storylines in NCAA 14 to the fleshed out backstories of my old Road to Glory characters, all the way to the present with my What Happened To series. Storytelling has always been right at the center of this channel's success, but it comes in all different forms, and Takeo has managed to capture still images that, all on their own, manage to tell deep and engaging stories. Now look, I'm sitting here, I'm looking at your book, right?
Right on.
And, for the audience, y'all, it's called Behind the Mask. It's fire, man. You got all these stories from like all-time great NFL linebackers in the book. And Takeo actually has like his photography skills on full display in this thing, right? Some dope introspective pictures, and like I'm sitting here, I'm kind of going through it, and I just had some shots that jump out to me. For instance, there's a picture in the book. It's one of my favorite pictures. It's just a pair of hands, right? It's Derrick Brooks. And like you see these hands, man, these strong, kind of worn down hands, look like the hands of a warrior, you know? And they look like they could like strangle the life out of somebody if they wanted to. But instead of clutching somebody's neck, clutching a Bible, right? And then you continue to look at the hands, and you see a Super Bowl ring. And then you see a wedding ring on the other hand. And I'm just looking at this image of a man's hands, and I'm like, yo, I'm getting so much information out of this. Like, this is so rich. And I think it's in black and white at that. It's so rich though. So my question is, when you compose a shot, what's happening in your brain to say, okay, this is what I want to like freeze in time and really just show off? You know what I'm saying?
It's really no different than what you do. Your process. I'm gonna study everybody else and see how can I make what I do a little bit better by making a little bit different. I studied. I understood his story. I listened to him. I knew what drove it. His faith, how much he loved his Bible, how much he loved his family. And so from all of the information that I received just from talking to him and doing my research, that's something that I wanted to portray. I wanted that image to be shown, and I wanted it to be highlighted so people can really capture the essence. So when you talk about, you know, the composition, the framing, like that's how a lot of the images that I took in my book, like that's how it all came together, by understanding the story. And so when you read my book, Behind the Mask Book, Volume 1, dedicated to linebackers, the images drives the story. And as you read the stories will drive the images. And so I felt like it was a perfect tie from an artistic standpoint to be able to bring both of them in together and to make it relatable as you continue to read their passages.
I grew up in the era of tough guys. Cats that was too cool to give somebody their flowers or give credit where it was due. I picked up Takeo's book, and I'm generally more of an audiobook guy, but with this one, there's a great reason you need to own the hardcover edition of this book. Takeo's photography perfectly captures these all-time great linebackers, and adds an extra layer of visual storytelling that any creative can appreciate. So while I had a few minutes of the man's time, I decided to point out some of my favorites from the book. And I ain't gonna hold you too much longer, but I just wanted to, it's a couple more pictures I just wanted to point out, like some of my favorite images, right? I really like.
Please go ahead. I won't even stop you.
I really like the one with Chuck Menderrick when he's standing with his statue, right? And I'm looking at it, and what I'm getting from it, like, bro, this picture like telling the story all in itself. It's like you got the man, and he's standing next to like the legend, and it's just kind of jarring to see it. You know what I'm saying? Like how other people probably see him, and like who he actually is. And then you seeing them next to each other. I thought that was dope. I also really like the one with Willie Lanier when he in the window and he got the details, you know what I'm saying? He got the paper open. You can see it's the business section. He up in the high rise. He got the skyscrapers, everything behind him. It's just, I could look at that image and it almost looked like the opening scene of a movie. Like I want to know more. You feel me? Like about this cat life, because it looked intriguing with just this image that I'm getting. So I really feel like you do a damn good job of telling a whole story, honestly, with just the image itself. And then I want the context. So now we got the context to go with it, with the stories and everything. So I really just wanted to commend you on that, man, because you know, I'm looking through it. It's hella dope and it's fire. It's one of like the dopest pieces of art I done seen, bro. It's cool.
Man, I appreciate that, bro. That means a lot to me because that's the goal, right? Like that's the reason why we set out and we do what we do. That's the reason why like the artistic side and you and I both, like, you waking up in the morning at 5 a.m. to be able to do your videos because you knew you had to go to your real job back then at 10 o'clock. That was the same thing for me. I wanted to portray exactly how the guys really are, first word. And I told every guy who I interviewed in the book, from Derrick Brooks, Mike Singletary, Harry Carson, Willie Lanier, the first black linebacker inducted into the Hall of Fame, I told them, I want you to be the author of your own autobiography. This story is going to be your story. Only thing I'm doing is just allowing you to put it on my platform. And I thank them for it too. So yeah, man, that was huge for me, bro. I really appreciate that.
Before we end the video, I gotta say thanks once again to today's video sponsor, Keeps. The stats show that every 2 out of 3 men will experience some form of male pattern baldness by the time they hit 35. But the best way to prevent hair loss is to do something about it while you still got hair on your head. Keeps offers scientifically proven treatments that can combat the symptoms of hair loss, all for an affordable price. They really changed the game when it comes to how men are treated for hair loss in general. We're living in unprecedented times, so it's nice when a company allows you to address your issues without ever having to leave the comfort of your home. They deliver the medication right to your door every few months, so no more waiting in line at the pharmacy. Again, prevention is key, and Keeps treatments can take up to 4 to 6 months to start seeing results, so it's important to act ASAP. So if you're ready to take action and prevent hair loss, go to keeps.com/FlemLo or just click the link in the description to receive 50% off your first order. So again, that's keeps.com, KEEPS/FlemLo, or just click the link in the description, man. Shout out to Keeps once again for sponsoring the video. And since I didn't do this at the beginning, y'all already know what time it is, man. Cue the way.
Never no quitter, 'cause I'ma go get her.